Good morning. My name is Peter Daniels, and I want to welcome us to the first event with Peter Daniels. And I'm glad that we're able to join today. And while we get us, we will commence right away. I have a facilitator today online, and his name is Pete Omotosho. Peter Omotosho is a Nigerian of Australia with over 15 years of experience in leading businesses and organizations in adoption and scaling of Agile. Uh, Omotosho is currently an Agile coach at Telstra in Australia. Um, I'll be handing over to him in a minute. Before that, I would like to stress more on what the expectations should be for today's webinar. It's a monthly webinar which happens once every month, and we'll be having speakers from around the world, agile coaches and experts speaking to us on one thing or the other, on the what about agile, and also on how, also on agile largely. So today we are happy to have Pete Omotosho to actually be our facilitator. So I'll be welcoming Pete Omotosho. Good morning, Pete.
Hello, Peter. Good morning to you.
Yeah, for joining us today, and I'm quite sure that you're actually for us. Hello, Pete.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're ready for us now, right?
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I am ready to take the journey with the whole group today, and hopefully at the end of the webinar, we'll be able to have touched every requirement of the participants. I look forward to a very wonderful time together today.
All right, great. Thanks, Pete. So I'm handing over now. Once again, to our starting participants, we have Funsho Kechimi, Okpeyemi Olugunojin. Then we also have St. Yu. So welcome on board. While we wait for others to join us, we're actually going to get started now. So Pete, over to you.
Okay, so I'll just try to get the engagement from here. If you can minimize your screen as well when you give it over to me, that'll be fine.
Yeah,
thank you so much. All right, cool. Okay. Okay, first of all, I'll just like to ask if participants are able to see my screen. If you are able to see my screen, can you please just type something on the chat box? So depending on the kind of machine you use, if you're using a Windows machine like myself, just right on top of your screen on Zoom, you can see you can see the template where you can actually see the chat box. That's to your right. Under more, you see the chat box over there. Please, if you can see my screen, can you just say yes? That will be fine. So that I can know that people, cool. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Opeyemi and Peter. Thank you. Without further delay, I will just start. And I also want to believe that you can hear me very well, right, clearly. If you can do that, if you can just confirm that you can hear me with a yes, that will be fine as well. Cool. All right, so we are just about to start. Today we'll be looking at a very interesting topic in terms of the Agile Manifesto as a foundation for agility. my expectation for you is that by the end of this webinar, everyone that is participating today would have really gained something in terms of how Agile manifestation, Agile manifesto leads to the manifestation of agility, and it acts as a foundation for agility. So this is number one in the series of Agile Moments with Peter Daniels. And I'll say that I'm so honored to be part of this journey with with Peter Daniels, and also to have taken the lead in really getting started getting started. Right, I'm going to actually admit a few people that are waiting to join the webinar today. As we just saw Blessing coming in. So as we continue, people will be joining and we'll be admitting them here. All right, cool. So once again, my name is Pete Omotosho, and I will be your facilitator for today's webinar. I currently I'm in Australia, where I lead the Agile adoption and implementation in the largest telecoms communication company in Australia. This is not the most interesting gig, but it is a gig that I love so much because it's all about Agile. And when you talk about Agile implementation, Agile adoption, it gives me happiness. And so hopefully by the end of today, we will have gotten a few things that will help us in our journey towards agility. Okay. Okay, just before we start, I would like to actually, I'm very sure most of you must have seen, or all of you must have seen the screen, what I have on my screen, which is the invite for this webinar, which is organized by Peter Daniels. He's actually our host for today. And like I said, I am the facilitator. But much more than that is to my right, to the right of the screen is what I have, which is the most important information I have to you right now. For being members, for being a participant in today's webinar, you'll stand a chance to have 50% scholarship for any, any training, any Agile related training you are part of in the future. All you've got to do is just to quote that you are part of today's webinar, and that will actually lead to a 50% discount for you. For more information and clarifications about this, you can send an email to info@calivtechnologies.com. That email address is right there on the screen. So just before we start, I thought it would be a very good time to really stress this, that, well, it's a win-win situation for you. You learn about Agile, and also you tend to also gain things monetarily, add value to yourself, and add money to yourself in the future. Okay, so our agenda for today, we will be looking at the Agile Manifesto. That's number one, top on our list. We'll also be looking at the foundation for agility. We'll all be looking at the journey of Agile, how it looks like. And I'll also be explaining to you the difference between being Agile and doing Agile. In our journey to become more Agile, there is a distinction between being Agile and the act of doing Agile. Of course, this will not be complete without really dissecting what Agile values really are, and I'll be doing justice to these. Of course, we'll touch a little bit of Scrum, and eventually we will give room for questions and answers. Altogether, I'm expecting that in the next 40 minutes, or 30 minutes thereabout, I should have finished my presentation, leaving an ample time of 10 to 15 minutes for the questions and answers. And so I want to encourage you to really put together your questions as we go ahead. Like I said, you can use the chat message or chat box to type in your messages, which I can actually see on my screen. And as we go ahead, I will be able to answer your questions. There are two ways I'll be answering questions today. Preferably, I'll wait till the end of the webinar for Q&A session. Alternatively, if I see a burning question which comes in and I need to address there and then, I can actually use my discretion to do that as well. But altogether, I'm looking forward to an enjoyable time together in the next 50 minutes or so that we spend together. Okay, so a very good place to start is the Agile Manifesto. So we have the manifesto for Agile software development, which I'm just going to quote because this is the reason why we have this webinar today. It is the set of values that are actually put together and actually guide the way we do business the Agile way. Now, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. This is very straight to the point. We'll be looking at this four statement over the next few minutes, and you will see what it actually means. Individuals and interactions, what do we mean by that? Processes and tools, what do we mean? Working software, comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration, contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. By the time we look at those four statements, which are actually the values, the four Agile values, we will see what we actually mean as we go ahead. Okay, let me put it together in a very fun way. So the first Agile value says individuals and interaction. You can see it in blue, which means it's all about individuals, the people doing the work, or the people delivering a certain set of tasks, and their interaction between these people over processes and tools. What processes and tools is okay. Agile principle or Agile manifesto says we value the people doing the work over the processes. We value their interactions over the tools as well. So it's all about people. Agile is big on people. And of course, tools and processes are very important, but people are more important. The second one says working software over comprehensive documentation. Well, projects are not cheap. They are very expensive. And I've never met a sponsor, a project sponsor that really spends so much on documentation. Every project sponsor really wants a working deliverable. And so Agile says it's about something that works or that meets the expectation of the sponsor or all the stakeholders. And it's not really about the documentation. Well, documentation is important, but working software is more important. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So it's all about how we engage with our customers and not negotiating the contract details. And we will see details about these as we go ahead. And of course, the last one is all about responding to change over following a plan. So more often than not, we can see that the plan for a project is always straightforward from point A to point Z. But with all my experience in delivering projects, I've never seen a project that actually went according to plan. There will be a change or two, right, during the delivery of a project. And so, how do we respond to change? This is what Agile value is talking about. How do we respond to, are we open to change? How are we able to adapt when the need arises? And this is one of the things that the values, that the Agile values are talking about, the Agile value of responding to change over following a plan. Now, there are 4 values, but in addition to those values, we have another 12 principles. I'll quickly go through these 12 principles, not in detail, but at least for you to know what each of these principles, what they talk about. Number 1, paraphrasing, is all about satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Now, in a nutshell, customers are happy when they receive a working deliverable. And when they do so in regular intervals, when they do so continuously, rather than waiting till the end of the project, which we have in waterfall. I used to be a project manager in a waterfall environment, and I always wait for the time when we do a kind of acceptance test, which normally comes at the end of a delivery. So if I have 1-year project to deliver, maybe month 10 will be when I do my acceptance test. And that is when I will be able to say, well, did we meet expectation or didn't we meet expectation? Well, if we do meet expectation, I'll be a happy man. If not, well, then the reverse is the case. Agile says, let's do this at regular intervals. Let's satisfy our customer early. Number 2 says, welcome changing requirements, even when it is late in development. So it's all about harnessing change. Agile is all about harnessing change. So the ability to avoid delays when a requirement request changes. So in a waterfall environment, we look at how difficult responding to change is. We have change management boards, most likely meet once in a fortnight or once in a week, and it's a very painful experience to welcome change. In Agile, we welcome change. In Agile, we are open to change. The third principle is about delivering working software frequently with a preference to shorter timescales. So, in a nutshell, Agile accommodates the principle of frequent delivery because we work in sprints or we work in cycles, we work in iterations. And so regularly, we have what we call a working software, and we call it a potential shippable product. What does that mean? It doesn't mean, well, week 4 or week 8, we have a completely workable project or deliverable, but we have something we can actually showcase that we can show to our customer that, well, we are making progress rather than wait till the end. Now, I'll go straight to number 4, which is business people and developers must work together daily through the project. This is another problem, a bottleneck in waterfall, where the business as usual people are different from the project people. And here we are saying that there should be collaboration between the business stakeholders, and there should be collaboration between them and the developers as well. Better decisions are made when the business and the technical team, when they work together, it leads to better decisions. Number 5, build projects around motivated individuals and trust them to get the job done. So it is, there's no gainsaying saying that motivated teams are more likely to deliver the best work than unmotivated teams. And that is all that is about. Number 6, the most efficient method of communication is face-to-face conversation. Without gainsaying again, co-located teams are the best. When teams work together and they discuss face-to-face, well, Agile principles say it is the best form of teamwork. Working software is the primary measure of progress. How else do you want to measure progress other than something that works, that has been tested, and you can get the result as soon as possible? Agile processes, which is number 8, promote sustainable development. We are talking about repeatable and maintainable speed at which we deliver a working deliverable. And number 9, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design. Number 10, simplicity. Is all about simplicity. Talking about developing it just enough to get going. That is number 10. Number 11, the best architecture required. Can I just ask you, if you actually are not talking, can I just ask you that you mute your PC or your mobile device, so that your voice doesn't filter to other people. Thank you. And number 12, the team regularly reflects on how to become more effective. Self-improvement actually encouraged. Self-improvement is actually encouraged. Okay, cool. I think I've just muted it from my side. Thank you so much. So I'll just quickly go ahead because our time is going fast. Now, when we talk about Agile, let's quickly look at the origin of Agile. So, in February 2001, about 17 individuals really came together in Utah, that's in USA, just to discuss the future of software development. Well, that was the beginning. That was how Agile started. The good news is Agile has actually gone across boundaries, software boundaries. And so Agile is very, very successful, and so many sectors have actually imbibed Agile. As an example, I currently lead an Agile transformation journey in a telecoms organization, number 1 telecom organization in Australia. I've actually seen people from the oil and gas industry, the mining industry, attend my trainings in the past, banking, the government, every parastatal, every angle of the sector, every sector actually now use Agile because it is very, very effective. So in 2001, these 17 people came together and they published the Agile Manifesto, which we are really looking at today. So about 18 years after, it's still very much relevant, because in February, it's going to be exactly 18 years since the Agile Manifesto is put together. So, well, did it start in 2001? Well, no. So we can actually have traces of agility even as early as 1930s up to now. It's still evolving. So why do I have to go through the history or the memory lane? Just because you can never be too agile. Agile is a journey. There is always a way to improve. There is always improvement. You need to continuously improve. So Agile is a journey. Now, let's look at the foundation for agility. So the foundation for agility is found in the Agile Manifesto. Everything you want to do in Agile, or almost everything, you can trace it down to the Agile Manifesto. Those 4 values and the 12 principles that I took you through. I actually took my time to take you through that because it is more like a foundational element in the Agile framework. So Agile is a framework, and of course, there are so many ways or so many approaches or so many techniques of implementing Agile. It's just all about responding to change. So if you look at your screen, you have a big umbrella which is called Agile, and under it we have several other frameworks. Some frameworks like Scrum, like Lean, like Crystal, Kanban, DSDM, Extreme Programming, and so on and so forth. So it is not really prescriptive. It is a set of techniques that can be used to actually deliver value early, and also looking at better ways of delivering or getting results. Please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to actually type your question using the chat message. Once I see it, I'll be able to look at it, and I can definitely answer it. If there's something I need to delay, I'll let you know as well towards the end of our meeting. Now, the Agile Manifesto is very, very powerful. It is powerful in aiding Agile teams. Number one, to learn, inspect, and adapt. So it is about continuous learning. It is about continuously inspecting. It is also about continuously adapting. And we'll look at this very shortly when we look at some of the way we continuously inspect and adapt in Agile. In a nutshell, every meeting in Agile is an opportunity to learn, is an opportunity to inspect, and is an opportunity to adapt. The Agile Manifesto also helps teams to hold themselves to high standard of truthfulness. It helps teams to maintain high performance in the results. The question I want to pose to you is, don't you really want this type of mentality or ways of working in your team? Think about the team that you work with presently. Do you want to continuously inspect and adapt? Do you want to hold yourself in high esteem, in high standard? Do you want to maintain a high performance? If this is yes, if the answer to this is yes, then you need to join me on this Agile journey. So in my experience, matured organizations are actually moving from asking the question, why should we adopt Agile, to how do we best adopt Agile at scale? In everything we do in our business, how do we best adopt Agile? And the good news is the African market is ripe for Agile adoption, is ripe for Agile evolution. Or let me say the Nigerian market is ripe for Agile adoption. And of course, the early adopters will actually make the full mark. And I can tell you from my experience, even in Western countries, in Australia, Agile is rolling. And so I'm very sure in Nigeria very soon we will also get the kind of maturity that we have in some of the developed worlds as well. So there are different levels through which we can actually adopt Agile. Number one, let's look at small teams. So if you work for an organization and you want to really make sure that your small domain, your small department really want to use Agile, yes, you can be Agile within your small team. As a matter of fact, most big organizations begin their Agile adoption journey with small teams. And from there, you can go to a program or portfolio level where a project management office kind of begin to look at the way they can actually adopt Agile or apply Agile to their technology projects or to their business project on a program level or portfolio level. Okay, so I've seen your question of Bayemi. I'll just answer that during the Q&A session. And I have a very good answer for you. That's where DevOps comes in, which is another form of agility. Then number three, scaling Agile to deliver complex program and the adoption of Agile in other core business functions. So we can look at another level where non-project departments, like the business as usual department, like finance, like HR can, begin to really adopt Agile at scale. So this is another level of agility. And the final one, which is very, very big now, is the enterprise level. Currently, I work for, or I support Testra. Testra is the #1 telecoms organization operator in Australia. And it is very large. It's one of the largest organizations, even in Australia. And we are currently on an enterprise level agility. That means everyone in Testra needs to begin to work in the new ways of working, begin to really operate in the new ways of working, which is organizational wide adoption of Agile. So it can go, no matter how small or how big your organization is, you can actually operate using Agile. No matter the level of agility you are operating, whether you want to apply Agile in your small family, which is probably your family or your home, or to an organization that is more than 100,000 people, the foundation is in Agile Manifesto. The foundation can be seen in Agile Manifesto. So if you're talking about Agile, we need to know about the waterfall framework. Why? Why are we so talking about waterfall Agile if there is a waterfall? Coincidentally, I am certified project manager in the waterfall way. I've got my Prince 2 certification. I've got my PMP certification as well. And I actually also, have industry experience as a project manager. So I'll tell you that Agile is based on iterative measures to deliver working deliverable early in the project. That means we are looking at the value that is added as early as possible. So we do not want to wait till we want to launch before we begin to see problems. So in a nutshell, I want to say that if we fail early. And if we succeed early. This is the promise that Agile is bringing. Instead of waiting towards the end before we begin to see result, Agile is promising that as early as possible, we begin to see result. We begin to see value. We begin to see, we begin to meet the expectation of the customers. We begin to see how relevant our deliverable is, or if there is any change, how do we really meet or adapt to those changes? Those are the few things I'm going to mention here. This webinar is not about waterfall, but I just want to really set the record straight that, well, there is a major difference between working in the waterfall environment and the Agile environment. I believe that waterfall works very well, but I have also learned that there is a better way of delivery that I found in Agile. Please, if you have any question, do not hesitate to type that, and I will do justice to that during our Q&A session. Now, this is a big one. Agile is a mindset. I want to tell you categorically that Agile is a mindset, is a way of life. Agile is a way of working. And there are so many approaches to implementing Agile. We have so many frameworks that are available. We have SAFe. The host for today is very big on SAFe. And of course, we have Kanban, we have Scrum, we have XP, we have design thinking, and so many other frameworks that actually work in the Agile way. So in a nutshell, it is not about a method. It's not about a technique. It's about your way of life. So we can say we have the doing Agile and we have the being Agile. And if you look at the beginning of this webinar, we have the 12 principles of Agile that I introduced to you. We have the 4 values of Agile that I've also introduced to you. All these are the foundational elements that actually really on which being Agile is built on. Being Agile is built on those foundational elements, those 4 values, and also the 12 principles which I actually explained earlier on. And again, the focus, hold on please, I just need to mute someone again. Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. So again, when we look at the focus of the Agile mindset, I'm just going to quickly give you a particular example. Our time is going, but I just need to let you know, let's look at the screen right now. I want to say that Agile focuses on how we can iteratively realize independent value after an iteration or a cycle. For instance, let me use there are 2 analogies on the screen right now, but I'm just going to use one just to reiterate my point. So let's use this transportation sector. I go to work using train, and every time I go to work, I see different people with their mode of transportation when I'm going to work. So let's say a customer wants a car. If I deliver if I go through the tour process, if I deliver a wheel first, nobody can use the wheel. If I deliver the second or 2 wheels, it is not usable. If I deliver a car with wheels without a steering and even without doors, my customer is unhappy. But if I eventually deliver something on the 4th level, which is the car that is actually capable of taking my customer from point A to point B, that is the kind of product that will make my customer happy. And the customer will not see results, will not see the value until the last point. That is a way of developing a product in a waterfall way. Now, how do we do that in an agile way, in an agile fashion? So when we look at the picture below or under the first one, so like I said, I travel to work using the train. In the train, I see people that we get off the train at the destination and they jump on their skateboard. Well, if I'm walking, it's someone that is using a skateboard, we go faster than I'm going, which means it makes the customer happy with the level of value that he's getting from the investment he has put in. Of course, if he wants to go to a bicycle, which is better than a skateboard, that is also an element of happiness in it for the customer because he is seeing value. Of course, that can be improved in another iteration to a scooter, and of course, eventually, before a car will be delivered. So every iteration is actually delivering value. Okay, let's say, for instance, for some reasons, we couldn't continue this project. We are on point 3, and we have a scooter. For some reason, we don't have budget. Our budget is cut off. We can still say, yeah, we have value for the money spent. But when we look at the number 3 up there, well, all we've got is a casing on wheels without a steering, without a door. And so the customer is not happy at that point. And this is where we can draw value as part of the focus of the Agile framework or Agile mindset. I've seen your question, Rafael. I'm going to just look at that later on during the Q&A session. Okay, so what is the major difference between being Agile and doing Agile? So being agile is all about being bold, being brave, the way we can work together. It's about the shared mindset. So you want to ask ask yourself some questions about what is the best use of my time today? What is the best thing I can deliver today, which is adding value to me, which is adding value to my customer, which is adding value to the organization I work with. Those are the thing of the mind, is a mindset. We need to begin to shift our mindset from what we do or the tool that is helping us do those stuff to what makes us deliver value. So it's about value creation. And then on the other hand, we have the doing. Those are talking about, tools that we use to actually deliver our work, the processes we go through, the coaching we go through, the training we take. Like this webinar is a form of doing agile because we are telling you about the foundational element to agility. And of course, when you know about these techniques, you can bring it on board to become more agile. So that's just what being agile and doing agile talk about. So let's put it all together. We have the being agile as the intangible side of agility, and doing agile is the tangible side. So let's say your organization has actually invested in tools like Jira, like Confluence, even your email servers, your chat messengers, all those things that you've got to use to help you deliver. Those are the tools. These are tangible stuff. Or the frameworks and standard. Maybe your organization is using SAFe, for instance, Scale Agile Framework, or is we using Scrum, or we're using, ITIL, we're using the PMI methodology, whatever we're using. Those are the frameworks, and they're tailored based on the role or the work you do. Those are the form of doing. Those are the form of doing. But I want to actually push for being, because being is actually the intangible aspect of agility, which is talking about mindset shift. So there cannot be a true, agility. There cannot be true agility if there is no mindset shift. You need to begin as a professional to ask yourself basic questions about how you can become more agile. It's about a mindset. It's about your ways of working, the better use of your time, the best you can deliver at some point. And these are actually supported on the foundation, or they are built on the foundation of the 4 values. I'm talking about individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and finally, responding to change over following a plan. So these are the 4 agile values that we're talking about. And of course, I took you through 12 principles earlier on. Those are common for everyone. If you as a professional and even as an organization, if you focus on being agile, definitely you're on the right track towards becoming more agile. So this is what we call the agile way. Being agile, merging with doing agile. Most of the time, doing agile is the foundation, is the starting point. You go for a 2-day training, you go for a 3-day training, you try to know these roles, you try to know the ceremonies, you try to know the techniques that will work for your organization. And those are the forms of doing agile. You want to invest in some tools that will make the agile journey better. Those are the doing agile. But you need to complement it with the mindset, with a shift in mentality, with a shift in the mindset, with the values and with the principles as well. So categorically, doing agile is not enough. especially when we talk about organizational agility. There are some things, especially for big organizations, there should be a shift in culture, a culture that is big on command and control to a culture that says, well, go give it a try. We want to build we need to have an enabling environment. The leadership should support agility. There should be, consistency in the standard that we use. So some part of the organization cannot be using this method, and other organizations or other parts are using other things. So strategy, the people and the capability. People should be capable. People should be trained. The capability of people should be improved. Those are the things that makes people more agile. It's more like an iceberg. What we see below a true agile organization is actually massive. And without those stuff, well, we may just be doing agile, which is not enough. So doing agile and being agile, when they are together, will lead to maturity in the agile way. So at the foundation, don't forget, is in the Agile Manifesto. So quickly, we are going to quickly look at the values, 4 values, and I'll open the floor for more question and answers. So we have 4 values which I've mentioned today, and we'll be looking at it individually, one by one, quickly, in a matter of few minutes before we round up today. So individuals and interaction of processes and tools. It looks easy, but it's actually not easy at all, right? So we need to be very intentional. We need to have an intentional self-control to actually focus on individuals and interactions over processes and tools. For instance, having a face-to-face discussion instead of sending a mail. Have coach teams where people sit together on the same desk and they still send mails back and forth. That is not being agile. That is not an agile mentality. The value, the individuals and interactions over process and tool value, agile value says that is not intentional. We need to be intentional about it. So what do you need to do? A tip is be thoughtful about taking the easy way out. For example, sending an email or creating a process. Why do you need to create a new process when you can actually collaborate over there? Instead of using the tool, don't let the tool use you. You should use the tool. So I just want to call out to say individuals and interactions dominate processes and tools. Don't let the tool use you, or don't let the tool decide your behavior. You use the tool to your advantage. Number 2, working software over comprehensive documentation. Well, this doesn't mean no documentation. What it means is that just enough documentation is what we need. And it doesn't mean you just start working without planning or without designing. We need to plan, we need to design. But what we are saying is we need to do iterative design, which evolves throughout the life cycle of your project. And of course, we need to concentrate on providing tangible value to the customer. So it's all about value, right? It's all about value. It's not about documentation. I personally believe in documenting stuff that works, not stuff that we believe that will work. So it's all about actual results that eat comprehensive documentation for breakfast. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So of course, negotiation or negotiating contracts is very painful. We have service level agreement, non-performance penalties, and stuff like that. But instead of doing that, why don't you organize a demo or a showcase for your customer instead of sending contract documents back and forth to them? Build on collaboration, build on communication, take the customer on a journey throughout the life cycle for you. So in a nutshell, customer collaboration outweighs contentious contract negotiation. And finally, Responding to change over following a plan. Well, we are not so rigid. We are not rigid. That is why we are agile. So change is the only constant thing in life. We need to continuously change. We need to be open to change. And so the tip on this is be open to change, be open-minded to change. You need to tear down the command and controls ways of working, right? Whatever comes, be open to change. Even at the end, towards the end of your project, be open to change. Because even if you follow a plan, right, there will always be a change. Why don't you get open to change? And just in 1-2 minutes, I'm just going to quickly go through the barriers to adopting the agile mindset. Well, the apprehension about living in a comfort zone. A lot of people are very apprehensive that, oh, this is what I've done over 30 years. How should I just leave that and go to a zone that I don't know anything about? Well, you just have to believe. Management support, sometimes unclear understanding, and that is why competence development competence development opportunities like these should not be taken for granted. Fear of failing, customer collaboration, confidence in the ability to scale. Organizations as big as the one I work for now, Testra, are using Agile, and so I have full confidence that Agile can scale. So because of our time, I'm just going to round up now so that I can give time for question and answers. I already have 2 questions waiting for me to answer, and then I encourage you to actually ask more questions. We still have about 10 minutes to the end of this webinar. So I encourage you to type your questions on the chat window while I look at these questions that I have here. So please keep the questions coming. Even if I can't get to your question today, I promise I am going to send you an update through your email that you have with us, and then you can get your questions answered. So don't worry if I can't get to it today. So the first question is from Okweyemi Olugbunwoje. Part of the manifesto says that business people and developer work together. Don't you think that might be software testers? I face similar issues. Before I test a feature, the business owner would test the feature, and when bug is found, it becomes a big blow to me. Okay, cool. So it's all about, I understand you perfectly, and I used to work in a command and control environment like yours as well. So Okweyemi, it is a very common issue in a workplace. Now, it's all about being agile. Remember when I talked about being agile and doing agile? So I want to believe that it is a journey, the journey to maturity. If the so-called business owner is matured in agile, you will know that, well, yeah, we found a bug, but we found that bug in Spring 2 early enough, and we have time to fix it, right? It should not be a big blow because we are learning as we go along. So it is a journey from doing agile to being agile. Like I said, I've worked in a similar situation where people want a perfect delivery. And guess what? There is no perfect delivery anywhere, but you can continuously deliver until you get to perfection. That is why iterative delivery is still the best. So I'll tell you that if I'm a coach in your organization, I'll be working with such a business owner to say, well, let's go on a journey of agility, and I'll tell him, I'll try to coach. There are things I'll do. I'll coach, I'll mentor, and I'll train on how we can actually treat bugs. Bugs are not bad. It's just a way that we have said we have found a better way of doing stuff, right? So I hope that has answered your question. Funsho Okejimi says, with reference to Okweyemi's question, I basically grouped my development team to include both engineers and testers. So when a feature is being sized at sprint planning stage. The sizing include both the engineering team's effort and the QA effort. So if the development team tells me they have completed a feature, it means both development and testing have been done, okay? In other words, I group both engineering effort and QA effort as one under in development, okay? So the product owner, okay, cool. Now, thank you so much for bringing clarity to that. Like I said, I also like to add something. No two situations are exactly alike, right? I've been in Agile for quite a while, and no two projects are exactly the same. So this is an option that Olufunso is taking, which is very valid, right? But at the same time, you need to look at your situation and be able to be open to change, so that you can actually handle it the best way, right? So some organizations will use DevOps, for instance. I just want to find out, can you still hear me? I just want to be sure that I've not lost anybody. Now, I've got a few more minutes, just about 4 minutes, and I've got another question here. So if you can type a yes, I'll know that I have you there. Okay, cool. If I have a yes, I'll know I have you there. Cool, thank you. All right, cool, thank you so much. So the next question is from Raphael. It says, does the adoption of Agile, talking about enterprise scale and project, influence or dictate development processes for a project? Oh, okay, cool. Now, number one, your question sounds like a command and control question to me, actually. Now, again, it is actually, let me put it the other way around. There is no one way of adopting Agile, which means there is a link between the method or the framework or the technique you're going to use and the environment that you are in. For instance, if I work in telecoms currently, and if you want to use Scrum in network space, it's very challenging, right? And so, therefore, the Agile framework I kind of recommend might be something like Lean, which works better. So in a way, your question include the answer, right? Which says that Agile adoption on an enterprise level or a project level can actually influence the type of project or the type of framework that we use, for example. So remember, Agile is a big umbrella. And under that big umbrella, there are several frameworks, there are several methods that we can use. So I will always recommend that a coach or a very experienced Scrum Master be brought on board to actually guide on the type, on the method or framework that needs to be used. Quickly, I'm mindful of time. I'll just answer the last question, and then we can. I'll quickly give back to our host today. Just wondering if this is not contradictory. People and interactions over tools and processes. If I can meet you to show the flow of work, and we can discuss the progress we are making, why do we need? I just want to need the software like Jira. Okay, cool. Exactly what we are talking about. It is not about the tools and processes. It is about the people and interactions. Olufunso, the question we want to ask ourselves is, can we deliver without Jira? Can we deliver without MSTFS? Yes, we can. Who are going to deliver? The team. Who are going to deliver? The group. Yes. So it's about the people and the interaction between the people that are very important, not the tools or the processes that we have in place. So we actually do not need Jira to be agile, but we need people to be agile. So on that note, I'm just going to close this and say, transfer this back um, to Peter Daniels to give us a parting shot. I want to believe that I have been able to meet your expectation today. And also, thank you so much for joining us today. It's just 1 hour on the dot. Thank you.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Pete. Thanks for delivery. We've learned quite a lot today. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing with us about the Agile manifestation as being the foundation for agility. As we round off, this webinar is being recorded. But before we round off, I would like to chip in one or two things on some of the questions that were raised. So for the last question that was raised by Olufunso, okay, saying just wondering if this is not contradictory. People and interactions about tools and processes. If we can meet it to show the flow of work, we can see the progress we are making. Why do we use software like Jira, MSTFS, again, to show the flow of work? Yes, just like Pete mentioned, we need to be able to be agile, not anything else. Now, I think another thing I would like to say to that is why it's great to show. If you begin to work in a distributed team, you begin to see more value in using this tool, because then you might not be able to have that real-time, immediate face-to-face communication, where you then begin to use tools to aid those communications. Also, when it also comes to using data to guide your forecast or prediction, because top management are highly wired, to bring them down to the level of adaptability, which is what Agile really hints on, because it's empirical, beyond just assuming a lot, but let's experience and what happens actually guides us in decision making and also in execution. So in terms of those tools, will also help you or the team to also have more data stored that they can look at, that will also help them in terms of how to also get better. So those are some of the benefits you get from using the tool. But to lay emphasis on what Pete said, people is number one, and you can't substitute it. So just like looking at the same, the Agile Manifesto, is not saying tools and processes are bad, but it's saying people and interactions actually are more valuable than the tools and processes. Tools and processes are valuable, but the people and interactions are actually more valuable. So if you have to choose between both, to choose people and interactions first, then we can choose the tools and processes. While also not forgetting that it's the people that develop the tools, that develop the processes. And these processes and tools are actually better harnessed and utilized, enhanced, modified, tailored through interactions, largely. So I think that would just be my contribution to that. So once again, thanks a lot. Facilitator today, Pete Omotosho, all the way from Australia. Thanks so much for your time. We know you are busy schedule right now, but thanks a lot. And to all the attendees today, I'm sure we've learned a lot from him. Questions we've also been able to ask, we've gotten enough answers. So we'll try to share this, get this video available. And for those who might have subsequent questions that are unable to state here, you can reach out to us offline, and we will be able to provide answers to that. Then please don't forget that, and please forget that you are eligible as an attendee for today's webinar for a 50% scholarship on Agile training anchored by one of our technologies via Tell Agile that is powering this webinar. Again, thanks a lot, and have weekends ahead. And please don't forget to share this webinar with your friends. and our colleagues will make a better agile Nigerian workforce. Thank you, and have a good weekend.
All right, thank you, Ho. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Any final word from Pete?
Okay, so everyone, thank you so much. I want to say thank you for your patience and your very, very wonderful questions that you've asked. And I believe that together we're going to raise the bar with agile adoption and implementation in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. I look forward to future engagement with you. So hopefully we can touch base together. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email or contact Peter Daniels as well. Either of us can actually answer your questions. Remember, it's continuous improvement for us as well. And so we hope we can be of help for each other, one another as we go ahead. Thank you so much once again and have a very wonderful weekend.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
All right, bye-bye, Ho.
Yeah, bye. Just someone now, as we have already finished the webinar. Hi, Lola. All right, so have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.